Pitching staff threw the ball great tonight. T-Penn got us off to a nice start, and can't say enough about the job Colin Linder did coming in and eating up the bulk of the game there. And Alex Overbay, I thought, threw the ball really well. Just got into some trouble there, and went with the guy that knows how to get out of that, usually. So and Shafe came in and finished. So that was an outstanding job by the pitching staff for the most part. Offensively, we came out hot and stick to a really good approach, and then we got kind of away from it as the game went on. But we were able to push a few runs across. They had some exotic arms they threw at us late that were tricky on our guys that we just couldn't seem to figure out and add on any runs late. But we were able to put up enough runs and make the plays when we had to in order to get a win.
Coach, what can you say about Colin Linder to come off Tommy John surgery last year and then to lose the starting job, but not, he talked about he was getting complacent early on in the year, but to take the relief role head on, and then fast forward to now to have the outing he did. He talked about pitching with more emotion and kind of taking out on the head and trying to challenge it.
Well, I mean, he's a kid that's been through a lot of adversity and continues to work hard and refine his delivery a little bit, and he's got one of those fastballs that's tough to square up and tough to hit, except for the Janicek kid who didn't miss that one, hit that one a country mile. But other than that, I mean, he's one of those kids that keeps working and understands he wants to get better and keep getting better, and he's starting to develop the off-speed pitches to go along with this fastball. So happy for him that he's having the success that he is.
Was it always the plan tonight to go Taylor Penn, Colin Linder, kind of piggyback situation?
Yeah, we knew we weren't going to get a ton of length out of T-Penn just based on, he stretched out to 3, maybe 4 innings we were hoping to get out of him. That third inning he kind of started losing a little bit of steam, from our perspective, and threw the ball great, wanted to get him out of there with a good taste in his mouth and move on. And then we knew Colin would probably give us hopefully 3, and he was able to give us 4. Like I said, it will be, the ball was coming out hot tonight from him, but he just walked the leadoff guy, and then the Taylor made double play. He just panicked and got sped up after he actually made a really good play to knock it down. So that was, we can't have the other guy get on and load the bases, I can't remember, but Shafe coming in there just another walk. So Shafe coming in and getting us out of there was huge. And ball off the bat, I thought we were in trouble, but the wind died down a little bit, so thank goodness. And Harry made a nice play on that to keep it right there.
Is there going to be any thought of moving Linder back to the rotation?
As always, we're going to assess every situation that once the weekend's over and see where we're at. We don't have a midweek next week, so that'll be after we get through tomorrow. We'll see where we're at and who's been utilized the most, and going to give us the best opportunity to beat to compete next weekend. But again, we're not really looking at that yet.
How have you navigated throughout conference play trying to find a consistent Saturday starter?
Well, again, a lot of it has been, matchups, who's the freshest arm, who's been throwing well, who we've used in the midweeks that have been grueling throughout the year, and who's available. Obviously, like I said a million times, you'd like to have a set Friday, Saturday, Sunday starter, but this is college baseball. You got to win. You guys see the importance of the midweek games. Sometimes you have to use guys in certain spots to try to get through those games with wins if you can. And we've had guys that haven't had their best stuff, that we've given guys different opportunities on the weekend that haven't ultimately had their best stuff, and so we got to keep rotating and trying to find the best matchup that we have. The two consistents, obviously Carlone and Kleck, and there's been times where Kleck is given up a few runs, and there's times he's been outstanding. So again, college baseball, sometimes the best matchup, you gotta change stuff up a little bit, and we'll keep tinkering with the recipe to try to get it right, and depending on who we're playing.
Brody Briggs mentioned that Baylor likes to run. That was what you guys told, and that he caught 2 guys stealing tonight. What would you evaluate his performance on that front?
Briggs has been great, and I'm glad you brought that up. Those were 2 huge plays in today's game that kind of go unnoticed. And the Sanders kid is a very dynamic player that runs really well and knows how to steal bases, and it's tricky, but I think not only Briggsy throwing him out, but T-Penn, the way he was holding him over there, it was really textbook on keeping him close and varying his times and tempos, and that's something we've stressed this week in practice, just to really make sure that we're varying our times, varying our tempos, and holding those guys on, because that's a big part of their game, is to run and take advantage of guys when they're sleeping. So something we can't afford to do, but having Briggsy back there defensively has just been, that's what he's made for. He loves that. He loves that challenge, and was able to throw a couple guys out today.
After these past 2 games, how do you evaluate and how do you like having you as the number 2 hitter?
It's been good. I think it's hopefully, I'm not putting words in opponents' coaches or trying to get in their heads of what they're thinking, but I think it forces them to not pitch around Harry so much, and give him the when you have that big an offensive threat and power threat right behind Landon, it makes you think twice if you're just going to put him on. Have a new come up behind him that's been swinging the bat really well all year and has some thump in his bat to where he can put a cricket number on the board with one swing, and Rolly seems to like that 4-hole a little bit. He's getting a lot of hits there, so we're having to be creative with it, but on the same token, whatever works.
Last year when you brought in Jeremy Carter, he set a program record for strikeouts per game with your staff, and now this year he's on track to break that record again. Was that kind of the plan, to force more swing and misses when evaluating what pitching coach you wanted to bring in?
Well, I think there's a mix to that, right? And I know Jeremy's been a guy that has been around a little bit and has seen a lot of baseball and experienced it himself. Has been at the highest level as a player and as a coach. Has worked with some phenomenal players and developed some phenomenal pitching, and that was the thought process of bringing him in. He himself will tell you, man, this job's challenging. It's tough to be consistently good at this job. In college, there's sometimes some days you don't know quite what you're going to get on the mound, and you have to call pitches accordingly as to what they're able to throw for strikes, and but a plan of attack here with us at Muni, of course, is we need strikeouts. If you can get them, obviously, that not to get away from the good old fashioned put the ball in play early and get outs that way too. But when the situation calls for it, if we can get punch outs, that's obviously less that they're putting the ball in play in our ballpark, and some days the wind's flying and the flagpole's pinned out, and you got to try to get punch outs if you can. So long as that doesn't shy us away from being aggressive and attacking the zone, I'm good with it.
How much is the talent in your bullpen these last few years compared to when you first got here helped with that?
I respectfully will say that it's nice to have good arms down there. So again, I'll give Sam Peraza a lot of credit on the recruiting trail, just bringing in a lot of talented guys, and those first couple of years were we were grinding, trying to find guys that could go out and do it, and they competed their butts off. So I'm not taking any away from those kids at all by any means, but it's nice to have more bullets in the gun down there that are guys that are capable of doing what they're doing.
7 saves is the most for an ASU pitcher since 2022. You talked early season about Schaefer's makeup on the mound entering a game. What has it meant to have kind of a certified closer back there, given Schaefer's mentality when he enters games?
It's nice. Again, I'm confident OV could have gotten out of that situation. I am, but when you have a guy like Schaefer that literally relishes in those moments and those situations, and he actually kind of laughed when he got to the mound. I said, "Here you go, man." And he just is like, "Yeah, let's go." And he's excited about being in those situations, and it takes a different breed to be a back end bullpen guy. It really is, and you got to have a different mentality than most people, and you have to have a short memory, and you have to have the confidence in yourself that I can get out of any situation and go pound the zone with your best stuff and trust it, and he does that very well.
Going back to New, I know you talked about it, I believe yesterday, you saw him running a little bit more harder down the line today. Do you feel like we're close to getting him back to 100%?
I do. You know, he's been pounding on my desk to play full this weekend, and I just to have to be smart. We're so close to, I think, getting over the hump on this thing that, you know, I was gonna see how the first game went, and we got a win, and see how today went, we got a win. So if I can buy one more day with him tomorrow as a DH, and then we don't have a midweek next week, we can buy a few more days and hopefully get him over this hump to where, you know, he's good to go the rest of the year. That would be the plan. So, you know, it's unfortunate because there's some other guys that I'm having a hard time getting in the lineup, but on the same token, as long as we keep winning games, that's what's important.
You mentioned yesterday that you want the offense to be able to beat you with the long ball, beat you by 1,000 cuts. How important is it for this team to have a pitching side of that kind of attack?
If you don't have pitching, you ain't gonna win. So, I mean, that's just bottom line. And I don't care how good your offense is, that you're pitching, you're only gonna go as far as they're gonna take you. And we understand that, and it's nice to have an offense that's able to pick up the pitching at times. And tonight, our pitching picked up our offense. We didn't swing the bats overly well tonight, I don't think, and our pitching staff picked us up tonight. So that's good. Good team baseball. You're not always gonna be firing on all cylinders every day, and that's what good teams do. They pick each other up.
In a close one like this, do you kind of condition your team to be in those tight scenarios as you enter the stretch of the regular season?
I think we've been in close ones all year. So, I mean, at least that's what my heart tells me. So, it doesn't seem like there's an easy one that you just really feel overly confident that this game's over. That's just, again, college baseball, man. You see it every day. We were just talking, we were just looking in there at games. Teams have a 12-1 lead going into the fourth, and they end up losing. And good teams, right? The top 5 teams in the country, top 10 teams in the country. So, this is college baseball. The parity across this sport right now is probably at its all-time high. Teams are beating teams that, again, I find a new team that I haven't ever heard of that's beating a well-known team. Seems like every day. I'm like, who are they? Where are they from? And they're beating a well-known blue blood team, and it's crazy. This sport is very difficult right now. The landscape's crazy, and there's a lot of good players across the country that are out there, and a lot of good coaches, of course. But you know, this game's crazy. There's no lead that's overly safe, and at the end of the day, you're blessed to get wins. So again, that's no different than today.
As a coach, how do you navigate that parity here day in and day out?
I'm sorry, navigate what?
The parity day in and day out.
Well, you just have to understand that it's there, and as I've spoken to our guys several times, just about it's the mindset of coming to play every day, because anybody can beat you on any given day. That's just how this works. And you know, obviously that team shouldn't beat you. Yeah, well, no kidding. But at the same token, they have good players too. And just because there's teams that aren't highly ranked, they have very good players that are capable of beating you. And we've seen that this year. And I think you ask any team across the country, they're going to say the same thing. So that's what makes this sport difficult, but also fun and exotic and beautiful and all that stuff at the same time, right? You never know what you're going to get, and you got to come with your chin strap buttoned every day and ready to play. Otherwise, you're going to get beat. And you know, the season gets grueling, and the toughest part is just making sure to keep these guys focused every day.
This is only the second Big 12 series that you guys have started 2-0. What's kind of the message or emphasis to the team of, we got to finish this series out strong and, you know, complete a sweep, especially given the maybe not playing the best baseball the past couple of weeks and as we near the final month of the season?
You know, we put a lot of emphasis on the standard, and what's your standard? What are you holding yourselves to? What are you holding this program and this team to? So live up to the standard, expect to win. regardless of if we got the first two in the hopper or not. You come tomorrow, we're gonna get their best effort tomorrow, certainly. Baylor's a very well-coached team. You know, they've had 4 or 5 losses in a row. They aren't gonna settle with that, and that's not gonna go over real well over there, if I know Mitch. And those guys are gonna be ready to play tomorrow, so our guys gotta come and not be satisfied with getting the first 2. They all count, they all matter. So we gotta come ready to play again tomorrow and come with our best bullets tomorrow.
How big is it after the loss on Wednesday against New Mexico State, especially this late in the season, to bounce back and pick up a series-winning conference play?
Yeah, I'm not talking about New Mexico State anymore. I've already beat that horse enough. Our guys know how I feel about that. We've turned the page, just getting back to trying to play fundamental good baseball, and the wins will take care of itself. So we've gotten the first 2. Now it's, you know, there's nothing we can do about Wednesday. It's in the past. We can't rewind and go replay that game. Bottom line, it is what it is. We can only move forward. So very difficult thing to live in the present and not the past. And right now we've got these 2 in the hopper, and that doesn't do us any good for tomorrow. We got to show up ready to play tomorrow.
Any other questions? Thanks, Coach.